How's it going? So if you saw my last stream, let's see, I think it was 2 days ago, then you'll know that I had a hard time deploying my Next.js application to GitHub Pages. While I was doing that stream, one of the articles that I saw that I pretty much passed over was a different approach to deploy to GitHub Pages using GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions are interesting in their own right, so I said, hey, let's do a stream on that topic today. So I've done no prep work other than entering this into the search, the good old Google, and you're going to get to see me go through it as someone who hasn't done this before, but I am a professional developer, and you can just kind of see the things I do, including the things that I kind of stumble on, and hopefully that's a value to you. Like, this is how a developer, first of all, developers do struggle. We don't just memorize all this stuff or just magically know it. And what do we do when we run into a roadblock? And how do we start? I think you know, we start with Google. Okay, so let's dive in. I clicked it, but this is in Free Code Camp. I do trust, but this is deploying to AWS S3. It's not what we want. This is deploying to AWS S3. We can skip down here. Maybe this. Let's open that in a new tab. This is deploying DigitalOcean. Don't want it. That we can check, but it's not GitHub Actions. This one, deploy Next.js app to GitHub Pages with GitHub Actions. This seems to be a great match. So we'll scan through these results. The question is, where are they deploying it to? Prerequisites, GitHub, PM2, Node, Nginx, Linux. Yep, it says DigitalOcean. We assume you have a VPS instance running Ubuntu. So don't want that article. This, as you can see, this is the actions that exist on the Next.js app. That's not relevant to our search criteria. And this one seems like it is a good match. So we'll stick with this one for now. Close some of these other unrelated tabs. Close these unrelated tabs and leave this one open. And we can always go back to Google if this doesn't pan out. But basically, this is what I'm working with for now. This is the repository that I would like to create the action on. Totally open. Feel free to go check it out. Let's see if I have it. I can show you what it looks like. I don't. It's just a basic kind of link tree list of links pointing to other stuff. At some point, I will show you during the stream because the whole point of this is to deploy it. Feel free to refer back to the previous stream to kind of catch up to where we're at right now. Basically, I was trying to use asset path, asset prefix, and base path, and it didn't quite pan out. So it looks like there are no active changes here. This is on my GH Pages branch. I'm going to create a backup branch. And I'm creating this backup branch because I intend to do whatever we do with GitHub Actions. I suspect we will need to touch that GitHub Pages branch. So I'm just creating a backup. In case things go south and I've somehow messed up my GH Pages branch unintentionally, I'll still be able to recover by rolling back. Okay, cool. So let's read through here. Deploy Next.js app on GitHub Pages with GitHub Actions. View the deployed app. Great. This is kind of like your basic create next app boilerplate. And this is what we're looking for. This is what was giving us trouble in the last stream. But Greg Rickaby, has overcome the issue that we ran into. Blog post, love it. Full Stack Dev, what's up, man? He has his own website here. That's great. Do you have a Twitter? Yep. Let's follow you on Twitter. Director of Engineering at Web Dev Studios. Cool. Here's his GitHub. We can follow him. And I should star this. You know, technically I should probably wait until it works to star it, but whatever. We'll give this guy some support. Cool. So the README doesn't include the directions really, so let's go to that blog post. And I can close this tab. View the GitHub repo on the deployed app. We know about that. Vercel is really great. It really is. You could totally use it. Netlify offers a similar service for building modern web apps, which is also amazing. However, I feel like Vercel and Netlify really want you on their software as a service. That's true. If you're interested in owning your own data like I am, this could be a problem. Totally agree. GitHub Pages doesn't support serverless functions. That's right. So I happen to know that the application that we're trying to deploy has no serverless functions. It's just a static site. So I think that's the caveat that Greg Rickaby here is going to point out. GitHub Pages, it needs to be a static site. Although GitHub might have cloud functions coming up. It's not there today, as far as I can tell. Okay. GitHub Pages doesn't support serverless functions. Some functionalities, such as API routes, will be disabled. That's right. And that's okay. Vercel has since published an official GH Pages example. While the implementation I wrote about below still works, I recommend looking at their example before making any decisions. Okay, well, let me go look at... Yeah, great. So there's an official one. I didn't know this existed. It's a couple years old now. And oh, a no Jekyll file. I didn't know about that. Good news is this is really short, yeah. But if there's an official one, I'm actually going to prefer the official one. So let's put that to the side. I'm not going to close it, but we're now going to focus on Vercel Next.js GH Pages example. Oh, wow. I should have just included it when I created the whole thing, eh? How easy is this? Okay, so literally even on the last stream, we used create next app. I just didn't do this. So we might have to restart. That's okay. So I'm going to navigate up a level and check out my main branch. Okay, cool. So I did a hard reset on origin main, which is making sure that the code that I have on my own computer is identical to the one that I have on my branch in GitHub. So now that I've done that, you can see if I ls, and then also if I just bring up the folder, you can see that in my repository root, I have a child folder that is called Basic Next.js Portfolio. So that child folder is my app. What I'm going to try to do now is a little bit chancy. We'll see if it pans out. But basically, I'm hoping that I can just run create next app and give it a different name. And that I don't need to blow that away just yet. And that way I'll be able to move my components over and basically move my app over and then blow away the old folder. Okay, so we're going to npx create next app. I think this is right. -- example. So all this, and then we're going to also throw on TypeScript. basic Next.js portfolio. It's already creating a folder called GH Pages app. So it's not actually asking me whether I like to name my app. I guess that's fine. As long as the name doesn't conflict. It doesn't seem to be mutating my basic Next.js portfolio. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, I'm probably not going to get your like chat messages. If you are on Twitch or YouTube, cool. So I'll navigate in. Normally I would commit at this point, but I want to guarantee that it works before I commit it. So I'll navigate into the GH Pages app folder and npm run dev as they suggest. We suggest that you begin by typing npm run dev. Got apple juice, water, and energy drink mixed up, sipping on that. Okay, cool. Looks good. So let's check out localhost 3000. That is where my local app is deployed. It says, hello world. Could be working or it could be not working. How can I verify? About us back to home. About us back to home. What I would expect is that they have an example I can compare this to. This example shows the most basic idea behind Next. We have 2 pages. Former responds to home requests and the latter to about requests. Using Next Link, you can add hyperlinks between them with the routing capability. Great. Okay, so it appears this is intentional. And there's like not much here, but it is working locally. Good news that we're preserving the old app because there's a lot of functionality missing, isn't there? So I'll open up another bash within basic Next.js portfolio, hit the ls. I kind of want to commit it at this point. Nope, I'm going to kill the dev server, and I'm going to try to build it and actually put it in GitHub and have it working. So we installed it. Run deploy is what they're having us do. Let's check out that deploy script. Basic package. You can see I'm fuzzy typing, and I get 2 package JSONs. This one is in the GH Pages app. Here's the deploy script. Check out this bad boy. Rimwrap node modules cache, next build, next export, touch no Jekyll. And it commits it to subtree push prefix out origin GH Pages. That's mad. Okay, so they are touching my GH Pages branch, and I'm okay with that because we made the backup. It's conventional. It's not like a technical requirement. It's just conventionally normal to use that GH Pages branch when you're using GitHub Pages. So they're respecting that convention. Love it. So just kind of cool to glance inside of my npm package and see what that deploy function is doing. At this point, I do feel comfortable enough that I will say feature init create next app GH Pages. These are all JavaScript files, even though I want TypeScript. So that's something we can fix later. It's a very, very small application, which is great because it means adding TypeScript isn't going to be difficult. Cool, so I pushed that. You can see this moving blue line in the top left, and now it's gone. That means the process is done, so the push is done. So now I will npm run deploy. using Webpack 5. Love it. Babble, babble. Files were successfully written, and that create mode, those create mode lines are coming from the version control system Git. So that's the tail end of this deploy command. You can see the Git subtree push prefix out. Those are coming from that subcommand, and it succeeded. You need to run this command from the top level of the working tree. Ooh, maybe it didn't succeed. We can check our GH pages branch. So here we are in GitHub. Let's go to the code. GH pages backup. That's fine. I want to see GH pages. 2 days ago was the last commit. So the origin push to GH pages branch failed. It was not successful, and it failed because we were not at the top level of the working tree. That's because we're nested in here. So let's see if I can do that, or will it ruin stuff? License and README seems the only thing that could conflict. License and README. Here's the README from the generator. So I don't really need this, but I will mention that I used the generator. So let me go grab that URL, and then I'll put this in my own README that I'm going to maintain. I'll just say built using this, and then the license, mine is an MIT, and they don't have a license file. So yeah, we can drop those in, and there will not be a conflict. I'll delete their README, and then I'll put my README there. So now that those steps are completed, I will also move the git ignore file up a level so that I have a git ignore. There's a file or folder with, so there's already a git ignore in there, eh? Okay. I'm going to override their git ignore with mine, but before I just trust that, I'm going to go compare. Has too many active changes. Okay, so I think the change that I made to their git ignore resulted in a bunch of changes being tracked. Boom. Not really seeing it. .next and node modules. Untracked files .next and node modules. Oh, I know why. Yeah, it needs to be up a level. So we're going to move some of these up. I'm going to delete the next folder at the top. I'm keeping the basic Next.js portfolio as long as I can because I want it to be easier to migrate my work. Okay. The license is red. Why is the license red? My VS Code is getting stuck somehow. This license should not be red. Red indicates that it was changed, but it wasn't. I'm going to close VS Code and reopen it. You can see Git status is just hanging there. Okay, that seems correct. 17 file changes. So I think VS Code has caught up. Basically, previously it saw a bunch of changes because I moved the git ignore, and the git ignore was protecting the next folder in the node modules folder that is under basic Next.js portfolio. So it was blocking reading of those changes. Then when I moved it, Node modules is just like huge. So it's like thousands of files. VS Code was trying to read that. And then when I fixed the git ignore, it was still stuck on the first process. So shutting VS Code down and reopening it, basically a forced refresh. And now it is reading properly. So this will be the feat init create next app GH pages. Cool. Push that. Now I can execute the same command that I previously ran, but I'll run it from the top level. I don't think I need this out folder. I do need pages, so I'm going to move the pages folder up a level. I'm also going to move the next and node modules folders up a level. Update imports for node modules. No, never automatically up those imports. I don't trust the automatic import updating. It has screwed me up many, many, many times. So here it seems that the whole of the next folder did not get moved. Oh, the out folder didn't get moved. So I'm going to move that out folder too. I might end up deleting that or overwriting it, but that's fine. So there's nothing left within GH Pages app at this time. So I'm going to delete that folder. So that whole folder, we've moved it up a level at this time. Okay. Now I want to make sure that the thing still works. So npx run dev. I think I can npm run dev. Need to install the following packages. Nope. So npm run dev. Cool. So I suspect that this was actually our issue last stream. So last stream, I was working within that basic Next.js portfolio folder. And I think working within that folder screwed stuff up. So when you run create next app, you actually need to move it up a level to flatten it out from a GitHub perspective so that the root URL is associated with the root directory. We were trying to overcome that using like asset prefix and stuff, but I couldn't get it to work last time. So this seems to work, but just to make super, super certain that that's not just a cache, I'm going to empty cache hard reload. Here we go. So it's still working. Click around. Stuff is not broken. Great. That's all we needed. Quick smoke test. Kill this process. And I will call this a chore. So this doesn't actually impact the user. And this is going to be move GH pages dir up. So a chore is like a technical task that doesn't impact features. It typically has to do with like version control or containerization or build and deploy. And this is related to that. So this is a build and deploy task. That's the reason that we moved stuff up a folder. So now we can npm run deploy. Looking good, looking good. I'd encourage y'all to check out my TikTok. I teach people how to code on the TikTok as well. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers so that I can stream on TikTok. They have a requirement in that sense. Yep, currently at 609 followers over there. So failed to push some refs to this Git location because it's behind its remote counterpart. So normally that would be a big red flag, and I'd have to worry about resolving conflicts and resolving conflicts. But I am actually going to force push in this case. So I'm going to get check out GH pages. So let me look at this branch, and do I have repository has too many changes. Would you like to add node modules to git ignore? So yes. So I think I probably just created myself a conflict, but let's see. The question is, are these changes from GH pages or not? And I'm looking for a package.json file from GH pages that I don't see. Right? So it seems to me, not only did the git push fail when I was on main branch and I did that npm run deploy, not only did the push fail, it seems to me that even the commit to the sub branch also failed. So I'm just going to nuke this branch at this point. The other thing I could do is I could rewrite my deploy command to do a force push on the sub command. We'll do that if I have to. I might end up still having to do that, but I like to avoid force push if I can. So what is this? This is going to be a chore. Add top level git ignore. And this is really pretty much a useless commit because I'm going to push it and then I'm going to delete this branch. But I want to keep VS Code synchronized. And we saw earlier that messing with the git ignore created too many active changes and it freaked my VS Code out. So just doing that to keep VS Code happy. All right, now git checkout main. And I'm going to get, so capital D would delete the branch, but I want to do more than that. I want to delete origin. Okay, yeah. Just saying it out loud, rubber ducking kind of helped. So I'm going to get branch, capital D, delete GH pages. So that deletes my local one, but then I'm also going to delete origin / GH pages. Not found. Let me convert this slash into a space. Not found. Okay. I think it does exist, but maybe it already got deleted. So here's GH pages right here. So it didn't delete the origin branch. Let's double check. Git delete origin branch. Git push origin delete. Wow, that guy's like almost 20,000 upvotes. I don't think I've seen that many upvotes on a Stack Overflow question answer like ever. Git push -d. Git branch -d. Okay, yeah, so I was using git branch -d and it's git push -d when you want to do it to the upstream. So let's do that. Git push -d GH pages. Cool. Said it didn't make sense without any refs, so we referred to origin, and it apparently succeeded. We can confirm in the GitHub UI, refresh the page, drop down this menu, GH pages is gone. I'm going to leave the backup for now. And double check that I'm on main. I am. So now we're going to try npm run deploy again. It's going to try to mutate the GH pages branch, which now doesn't exist, but hopefully the fact that it's empty enables the command to run fine. If it complains because it doesn't exist, I'll go over there and make it, or I'll force push. See, it says down there, git push using origin GH pages. Here is the SHA of the commit that succeeded to GH pages. So it appeared to work. We can refresh. GH pages exist now. There it is. Bingo. Okay, so GH pages has pushed. Sometimes there's a propagation time, like it takes a little bit of time to show up on GitHub pages, but it's usually on the order of like 45 seconds or less. Pages have its own dedicated tab. Check it out. So it's green, which usually indicates that it's up to date. It's looking at GH pages branch in the root folder. So this works, but this doesn't work. Next GH page example. Where is that coming from? Basic. Okay, so they are assuming that that is my branch name. So there's probably a config file that I have to update. Basic Next.js portfolio. Search is not pulling it up. Let's go look ourselves. Here we go. There it is. So this is the asset prefix. And what I would like it to say is this. So it seemed to deploy correctly. Correct in the sense that it works according to the configuration. So now we are going to, I'm still on main. Yep. And now we are going to redeploy. Dang, Uber just hit me with the 20 bucks off. Uber Eats. Think we're gonna have to do Uber Eats today, y'all. I think they got me today. Capitalism, man. Okay, so commit SHA succeeded. I refreshed the page. It appeared to still fail, but that could be a propagation time. Refresh here, it's green, which indicates that they think it is correctly synced. Gonna go over here, double check my GH pages branch. Oops. About 37 seconds ago. Seems correct. So refresh, click this guy, and it's working. Although next GH page example is not what I want, but it is working. That's weird. Bro, why are you working? You're changing my... If I refresh, that fails. Yeah, so it's a virtual... it's a virtual state. That page doesn't physically exist. No good, no good, no good. Let me see. Here's GH pages. Static site. So here's the index, static. Well, it is deploying what was built. Even though what was built is a problem, it is deploying what is built. That's a problem because I should be able to go to the pages should have like physical HTML pages. So this, I should be able to go to here. That did work. That did work. Okay. So I think this is in my build output. I think the... Here, let's commit this chore. So this will be chore. That's actually not a chore. That's more like fix. Asset prefix. We fixed asset prefix. Okay. Push this all up. And I'm going to investigate the GHPage index file. So it's kind of working, right? It's arguably kind of working. Oh, and it's all inlined. How gross is that? So there is the asset prefix we're looking for. This, you see it's in an anchor there. Yup. So it's in the actual build output in the physical HTML. So this is actually not a build configuration problem. It's a problem with these bad boys. If I go to build here, yeah, see this index file has content that I don't want. So how do I rebuild those guys? I'm expecting when I run deploy, those are rebuilt, but maybe not. I'm going to refer back to this. They create, replace with your project name, edit config. Oh, okay, so there's two places. That's the issue. Yep, I only fixed one of two. That is the issue. Bingo. RTFM. Let's see, what are some developer terms like that developers should know? So we got LGTM, RTFM, PR, pull request, not personal record. LGTM, RTFM, PR. If you can think of one or two more, hit me. We could do it. I could do a TikTok off of 3, but 4 or 5 would be cool. Let's deploy one more time. So I'll be streaming later today, at least one stream with my friend Audrey is currently planned. I think we're going to do Vue, V-U-E. And then I may or may not be streaming games with my wife this evening. Depends on if she wants to do games or not. We'll do another chore here. No, this is another fix. Fix backend URL this time. Push that up and refresh this. It's green. It looks synced. Refresh this 37 seconds ago. So refresh this. It fails. That's good because we changed this time. Refresh this, and now my route is working. We're working, baby, working it. Okay, so at this point, the kind of like hello world deployment to GitHub pages is working. We're not using GitHub Actions. So my intent was to use GitHub Actions, but it's not needed. It's extraneous. So, you know, if you came to this stream to see GitHub Actions working, sorry for the letdown. The good news is if you came to this stream wanting to see how to deploy a Next.js application to GitHub pages, that is working. And we've done it in under 40 minutes, and it's actually easier. Like, you don't need GitHub Actions. It's like easier than that. But that doesn't conclude our stream. So this first 40 minutes will be your reference if you're trying to deploy to GitHub pages. But what I want to do now is move over my components from basic Next.js portfolio to this application that's now correctly deployed. This is pretty easy in Next. So this is almost like a migration. We're almost doing like a migration. And we are going to implement TypeScript. But this is pretty easy in Next. I'm super stoked about this. Check this out. This hello TS, I don't need it. I'm going to delete that. App TSX, we will leave that for now. So I can just move these files over here. Bam. Public, is there going to be a conflict on my public folder? I can just move my public folder up here. Bam, no conflict, good. If there's a conflict, it's a little more complicated, but if there's not a conflict, it's easy mode. What about a styles folder? We saw what it looked like. It didn't look like there was much style, did we? I'm not seeing a styles folder, so let's just grab that styles folder and move it up a level. Bam. We're going to delete the old out node modules next folders. We're going to delete all those. TS config, the old one didn't have TypeScript, so we're going to keep the GitHub pages example didn't have TypeScript, and we need to add a TypeScript configuration. So we're just going to use the tsconfig.json that came when we did npx create next app example TypeScript. Okay, so you can literally generate like 2 different examples and then move the files one into the other. Pretty straightforward. Just make sure you don't generate them into the same directory so they're stepping on each other. That's a real problem. Generate them in 2 different directories and then like pick and choose the files that you need. Okay, ESLint. We're going to bring over the ESLint. What about this DTS file? Bring that over. The config might have some conflict, so let's peek inside these 2 configs. Okay. On the right is the config that I kind of prefer. And I prefer it because it's working for GH pages. Let me look at the left. Was there anything here that I really liked? We can keep these 2 lines, but we're not keeping the asset prefix or the base path. We can keep these 2 lines. I'm initially going to comment them out, but we'll try to uncomment them later. My strategy here is move the code, and then I will consider these enhancements to be added later. I also don't need the comments up top anymore. Okay, so that takes care of the next config file, so now I can delete that file. The package JSON, yeah, there are some dependencies for TypeScript that I need to add. Otherwise, no conflict. So I'm going to drop these down here just so that I can visually see them on the page and resolve them by myself. Next, React, React DOM. Do I want Next latest or do I want Next 11? What is the latest version of Next? It's like 13. Oh no, it's 11. So they're kind of referring to the same version, but one is doing so explicitly. I'm going to prefer explicit. And now my dependencies block is deconflicted because all the others are the same. Down here, they're freezing the version of React and React DOM. I like that. So I'm going to freeze it by getting rid of the up carets. Okay. We want to deconflict these, but they are no conflict to begin with. So I can just move them over. Bam. And now my package JSON is merged. So I can delete the old package JSON file, and I don't need the old package lock either. What about the README? This is no longer needed. Basically, it's saying, hey, this project was created with create next app. And I already say that basically here. So I no longer need basic Next.js portfolio. So there you go. Now I have merged over the files. We're going to do an initial commit, and doubtless there will be some things that sort of need to be patched up, and that's okay. Lots and lots of small commits. That way we can roll back and forward as needed. Okay, so this will be, I'll consider it a feature. Initial merge TS example. Break a couple lines to GH pages example. So we're merging the examples, right? Cool. The first thing I need to do now is npm I, because I've added new packages to my package.json file. So I need to make sure that those packages that I've added are actually installed. Nothing's going to work if I don't do that. In particular, the TypeScript is not going to work. Grabbing camera from office, then I'll be on, Audrey says. So we might be wrapping up here soon. But I think you get the idea. Basically, we deployed to GH pages. Now we're going to move TypeScript and components over, make sure those components are looking good, and then follow the same deployment path. Let's see if I can get a good chunk of that done before Audrey hops on. 2 high severity vulnerabilities. So this is going to be another chore. Lock packages. Package lock is useful to make sure that whenever anybody else installs and deploys, in particular if you're doing like a CI/CD Jenkins build pipeline or something, you want to make sure everyone's using the same packages, like all the way down into the nested dependencies. So that's what package lock spells out. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to npx next dev. I think it's next dev. Kind of interesting that Next isn't complaining at all, and there is the Linktree application that was the portfolio application. I thought there would have been a conflict because there are 2 app files. Check this out. Under pages, there's 2 app files. Oh, no, there's not. But there are 2 index files. So I thought that Next would get kind of pissed off, but it just steamrolled the Next.js. And it was like index.tsx is objectively better, which I don't disagree. Ooh, lots of complaints here. Implicit any because no interface like this exists. That's kind of a trip. So I'm going to delete the index.js file. Public is good. Styles were applied. You saw they were being applied. So everything is kind of looking good. Take your wins when you get them, right? So this will be chore, or like, I guess this is a feature, a fix, I don't know, refactor. Clean unused index.js. I'm going to call it a chore because it's just cleaning up unused files in my opinion. All right, cool. We have only 1 terminal at this point. What would we like to do? I would like to try to kill this guy. Oh, my command line is sticking. Hashtag Windows problems. All right, I'm going to kill VS Code and open it again. And I'm just going to try to straight deploy it ASAP. Okay, command line is not sticking, so we can npm run deploy. Cool. So that almost had a cell phone down. So that appears to succeed. Here's the SHA saying it worked. Refresh this. If it's green, it says it's synced. It will be briefly like a gray background, like right after you push. If you look within like 3 or 5 seconds, it might have a gray background because it's still receiving and redeploying on the pages side. But when it's green, I think that means it thinks it's synced. We'll refresh over here. 42 seconds. All looks good. Refresh this bad boy. This is the About Us. Yeah. So the About Us is like this floating page that I never got rid of. This is actually hilarious to me because check this out. We have a combination, a hybrid application, a hybrid of TypeScript and JavaScript pages. And Next.js doesn't complain at all. This is actually, I did not know this about Next.js. In your traditional application, if you have a TypeScript application, there's going to be a TypeScript build, and the whole app needs to be compliant with that build, or you're going to piss off the compiler, unless you have like special build handling. Here, it seems like Next.js is going to build page by page, and it will be happy as long as your page is well formatted unto itself, which is awesome. So I'm going to end the stream there. But yeah, this if you know to manipulate the route, you can get to the About page.